It was a high-profile public school shakeup. A veteran principal and a former NFL player turned star high school football coach were at the center of an investigation by the Attorney General's office. But what it was investigating was never disclosed, and neither was the outcome until now.
And now, 3 years later, their names have been cleared, and we're finally learning the details. Gina Mangieri, always investigating, tells us what she's learned.
Howard and Kathy, I've been pressing the DOE for years for information on the Kaiser case. And at every turn, I was told ongoing investigations kept everything under seal. Now I've learned what the DOE and criminal authorities were looking at and the outcome. While John Sosa was in Washington, D.C. in the fall of 2013 getting a Principal of the Year award, back in Honolulu, the DOE had a different message for the 45-year educator. Don't come back to the school. You're on department-directed leave.
You're being investigated for fraud. I know I wasn't doing anything that wasn't for the benefit of the school, but you're still racking your brain. You feel ashamed, you feel discouraged, you feel angry.
An investigation had been set off by a tip to the fraud hotline Superintendent Catherine Matayoshi had set up earlier that year.
I was very surprised, maybe a little angry, because anytime something like this comes up, it taints the whole department. Whether or not it's true or in the end.
Sosa retired in December 2013. He says the DOE investigation continued into improper reimbursements and misuse of appropriated funds, school facilities, and contracted personnel. And our years-long open records pursuit finally yielded details of just how far the case went. A letter from Matayoshi dated June 2014, nearly a year after the DOE started investigating, asking the Attorney General's office to review, stating there appears to be evidence to show that there are several instances where Sosa, former football coach Rich Miano, and former strength training volunteer Chad Ike misappropriated funds or misused facilities.
Late that summer, that the AG's office contacted me, the investigator, and eventually he showed up at my home.
Sosa, Miano, and Ike all retained lawyers. Cougar alums Miano and Ike left the school shortly after Sosa retired. The criminal investigators persisted with questions, financial, even phone record reviews.
I'd done a great job for 45 years and 6 months. The last 3 months was pure hell.
More than a year later, the fall of 2015, attorneys for all three were told the AG was dropping the case. No charges filed. The DOE stands by its concerns and its referral to the Attorney General.
Certainly any payments to students or coaches beyond what is allowed as a stipend or as part of their regular job would not be allowed.
Head coach Miano had made state champions out of Kaiser's football team, volunteer strength coach Ike at his side. To your knowledge, was there money for recruiting being spent at the school?
No.
Okay.
No.
To your knowledge, was there money being used for travel or comforts or benefits to the players or their families from any of these sports?
No. Rich was accused of recruiting, and Rich didn't. Parents seek what's best for their children. Good coaches will attract athletes.
We pressed the DOE for what they found that led them to believe that funds were misspent and resources were misused. We found out that at least 3 other staff, discipline, and dismissal cases were tied to this case as well. And because the DOE says at least one of those is still in the grievance and arbitration process, they said they could not disclose any information about all of the other cases. But they did refer us to policies and procedures having to do with use of facilities.
There was some grumbling about Chad's use of the facility.
Why?
And that was all done under the use of facilities regulations that were in place at that time. But he also used our facility to train athletes as part of his business.
I reached out to both Miano and Ike. They did not want to talk on camera, but Miano told me he resigned to spend more time with his family and continue working with Hawaii's youth. EK says people saw the success and couldn't fathom it was from hard work and sacrifice, so they started to assume we're doing something wrong. Do you stand by the amount of time and resources that were put into it, at least at the DOE level? Or if you could have a do-over, would that have been tightened up?
Well, I think I would have liked to have done it faster, but it was pretty complicated. I think the biggest thing is really focusing on the use of facilities and being very clear about what is required in terms of the paperwork and the payments. The other was that when it comes to complex cases and the volume of cases that we have is that we were not adequately staffed. We've added investigators.
Even though this case has finished, it and other long-term investigations still are having an impact on the future direction of the Department of Education. I'm digging into that and will continue my Always Investigating reports tomorrow. Gina Mangieri, KHON 2 News.